Welcome to an episode of Meeting of the GoldMinds, a brand new podcast hosted by a group of degenerates who all root for the only professional basketball team in Los Angeles that's worth talking about. We'll talk about the good, the bad, and the really fucked up shit. We do things differently on this podcast. Don't worry, we will cover all things Lakers. We'll have your analytics, we'll talk salary cap, we'll talk about the rookies, the old guys, and even the front office. We're also going to talk pop culture, music, film, and if it's a funny story, even some politics. But our goal is to always make this shit entertaining. So like the late great Dr. Buss used to say there in all those nights in the Forum Club, it's showtime, bitches.
You know, there's some times that we're always trying to promote our shit and always hype up our shit. That's what we do when you're a content creator. But you know what? There are some times that you plan something and it's like, oh shit, this is going to be a good one. And that's what it is going to be today for episode 15. We can almost drive. We have our learner's permit. But this is episode 15 of Meeting of the GoldMinds. We are doing a live recording. We are recording this in our playback.com/PGM fan cave. But, we're representing the California IA today. Tony, we're not alone. We are not alone, my brother. Mr. Tony Vega, how are you, sir?
Sir, I am good. It's great to see all these people here again. It's a good day to record. The season has not started. Twitter is at best mid-season form right now. It's all looking good. I'm just ready to just talk some basketball and talk some of this California trash talk. Just conversation, discussion. But
well, look, if you are listening to this, once the podcast go out, I need you to wear some Chucks, not Bally's. I need you to grab some Randy's Donuts. I need you to listen to Dre, Snoop, Kendrick Lamar, some Nipsey. I need you to listen. Oh, we can't forget the Bay. I need you to listen to some 40, some Too Short. Blow that fucking whistle, folks. Because we're representing the West Coast. We're representing California. We're not here alone. This is officially the NBA Roundtable Cali edition. And we got some very special guests with us representing Dub Nation and some quality brothers. We'll get along with them for the next hour and a half. We got Mr. Trophy Mentality, aka Mr. Bruce Leroy. How you doing, brother?
Hey man, the sports samurai's feeling good, baby. And you see the glow. You see the golden child right here, man.
I know you glowing. Man, so. You 2-0 in the preseason against us. So yeah, I know you feeling good about yourself. You about to win that October Cup. So I know you feeling good. But you know what? You're gonna have to share some of that glow, because also representing the Warriors, Dub Nation, is Mr. Gifted Hoops. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Happy to be here. Can't wait to get down to some Warriors basketball and these overall hoop conversations.
All right. Yo, well, we're not done with Northern Cali. We also representing 916, Sacktown, Bay Area and back down. We got ChewieWoolf representing Top Shot Kingdom. Wow. That's just foul. How are you doing, sir? You guys ready to turn on that flashlight?
Oh yeah. We got that LED ready to go.
There you go. Shout out to Top Shot Kingdom. And last but never least, we're planning to kick them out of our building in, about a year or so. Because, they're about to move into a building that has lots of toilets. Lots of toilets. They also play basketball. They hang out with us. They rent our city. But he is a quality brother. I love his content. He is DimeDropper, host of Locked on Clippers. What's up, DimeDropper? What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Good. Happy to be here. Reserving my clapbacks for later in the show, though.
Absolutely.
Happy to be here. Happy to see
Get on
everybody.
his ass later in the show for sure.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Look, we had to. When we were doing this, when me and Tony was putting this together, we was like, yeah, we need a neutral party because look, we're not inviting folks just so we can troll, right? We do that on Twitter, but we're not going to do that on the podcast. We're not going to bring you in the house just to troll. So there's only one person who he is the Switzerland of NBA Twitter. He is the Switzerland of just, I would say, NBA media. He is a quality person, even though his food takes are atrocious. He has beef with Michael Jackson and all cereal that has cartoon characters on it. But he is a good brother. Always will have respect for him. Chris from Hoop Spaces, what's up, man? You are moderating. You are keeping us in check today. What's up?
What's up, everybody? I want a good, clean fight. No heel, no rabbit punching, no gouging, no elbows. Keep the headbutting down. Keep the elbows tucked in. I'm not trying to get people clipped. I want to have a good show. And I do have ties to Cali, both NorCal and South. Like I lived in both places. So it's dope to see so many good content creators coming up and putting out what they want, man. So big ups to y'all for coming together because this isn't easy to do.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But you know what? I respect everyone, all you guys, all you gentlemen for finding the time to make this happen. So, Chris, you are running this show. So the floor is yours. You take us where we need to go.
All right, what's up, everybody? Thanks for the introduction by Born Rebel and the Purple and GoldMinds. What's up to Tony here? Gifted Blade and DimeDropper have them, in the group chat. We've got two people who I followed and follow on Twitter, but this really is the first time we got some real big interaction. So I'm actually I'm psyched here because I want to see how they respond to people who are new. And I'm expecting some real good challenges here from the Sacramento Kings and Golden State Warriors. Two teams that we're going to start off with here that usually are viewed on the opposite sides of the spectrum. But last season, they gave us some thrills here. So we're going to go ahead and go like this. We're going to get a quick recap of the Golden State Warriors season by Gifted. Then we'll go to a quick recap of the Kings by Chewie. And then we'll get into some NorCal, and then we'll bring in some SoCal, and then we're going to mix it all together. So, Gifted, you're up first. Give us your breakdown last year of the Golden State Warriors. And then if you want to chime in as his partner in crime here, hop in after Gifted's done, and then we'll move right on to Chewie and Sack.
Yeah, so last year for the Golden State Warriors, they were coming off of a NBA championship versus the Boston Celtics. They came in as a team that had a lot of expectations on their shoulders. And to start the year, I would say the perimeter defense for Golden State was suffering severely. In the first 10 games, we lost a bunch of games to a ton of teams that Golden State was more talented than, but the on-ball pressure on the defensive end simply was not great. James Wiseman is a player that was drafted number 2 overall by the Golden State Warriors organization, but his short tenure on the Warriors and in the league, he hasn't really had much time to play much basketball to figure things out at a high level, and Golden State was trying to get back to the mountaintop of where they were. So during the season, they had to make some changes, some adjustments, and they were able to get Gary Payton back on the roster, who was able to fill in that guard role in terms of providing a defensive boost to the roster. And it was a very turbulent season with Steph playing at an MVP level, but being hurt twice over during the regular season. Before he went down, he was shooting like a 70% true shooting. He was averaging 50, 40, 90 on 30 points per game. He was playing phenomenal basketball. Andrew Wiggins is another great player who was a very important piece of the Warriors winning the title last year. And with him, he had a lot of family stuff going on off the court, but also he had an injury which kept him out for a big chunk of the season. He only played 37 games, and Golden State's record on the road was really bad. They just played terrible defense on the road. They gave up a ton of threes, but at home they were top 5 in offense and defense. So it was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of situation. And in the middle of all of this, Jordan Poole, who was this young upstart player who showed some great promise, who had some great flashes in the Denver series and even in the playoffs after the fact, was in an altercation with Draymond Green. And Draymond Green basically threw out a punch at him. Words were said, and then the tape was leaked to the media before the season started. And then opening night, Draymond himself had a documentary kind of talking about his experience with it. So there were a lot of things going on with Golden State, both on and off the court. But by the end of the season, Golden State had finally rounded themselves into form. They made the playoffs, and they had to play the Sacramento Kings, the team that a lot of people, for whatever reason, thought would be at the bottom. People thought that the Kings would be a bottom feeder and they would be worse than the Portland Trailblazers. I remember this because I was arguing that they were going to be a really good team. And we had to play them for a tough 7 games where every game came down to rebounds, second chance opportunities, and who was able to score more in transition. And ultimately in Game 7, Steph Curry put the seal on that series, dropping 50 points, where Kevon Looney was also making key rebounds and key defensive plays for the entire series. And we lost to the Lakers in the very next round, unable to go to the conference finals. But now we're here for a new season. Jordan Poole has been traded. We now have Chris Paul on the roster, who has great upside in terms of being able to lead and elevate a bench unit for the Golden State Warriors and provide a bit more stability than Jordan Poole did last year, even though health is more of a concern than Poole. So it's time to see what we have to offer this season.
All right. Bruce, come on in here. Clean up anything that you thought that you wanted to highlight here. But we're also going to go with another question and get to come in after you. Then we're going to bring in Chewie. You went 7 games with the Sacramento Kings as the Warriors. What did you learn about the Kings, and what did you learn about the Warriors after that 7-game series?
Well, what I learned about the Sacramento Kings is they got next. I was able to see De'Aaron Fox play here in Miami a couple of years ago, and Miami had Hassan Whiteside as the center, and he pretty much got him up out of his starting position because the only people who could show any signs of like lateral defensive skills and capabilities just in that pick and roll was Bam, right? And so Fox, I think he's, should be in conversation as far as MVP. He's very quick, efficient with the floater. And, they got something brewing over there. I like Sabonis as well. He's really underrated in a sense. Everybody like to compare him to his dad, which you could probably argue that he's better just from, being able to do a little bit more as far as like shooting or whatever the case is and the speed of the game rather, right? But with the Warriors, I always say like champions, when you win championships, there's a certain confidence most champions they gain, right? You got some people that win a championship, they never win a championship again. Ultimately, they may play a bit better, but then you got people who win consecutive championships or several, the Warriors in this particular case, and it's not only the confidence that they have, it's also the fear that people develop going up against these guys because they was embarrassing everybody for a long time. Now, what I learned about the Dubs is it doesn't matter how great you are. Like, Gifter, you just pointed out, Steph played, 56 games last year? He was doing his dollar, right? He had 2 injuries here and there. But it doesn't matter how great you are. If your locker room is fractured, you're only going but so far, right? The Sacramento Kings not only knew exactly how you played, they played similar, and they were more together. To me, I personally think the Kings should have beat the Warriors and not the Lakers. For some reason, I think maybe Sacramento realized who they are even after that series, and I think they'll bounce back. But I personally felt like the Warriors, I would have probably felt better if they lost to Sacramento versus the Lakers because it's like at that point, the locker room was still having their issues. You could still see little temper tantrums with Jordan Poole and other players on the team. And ultimately, when you're a reigning champ or defending champs and you're trying to like reclaim your throne or still stay on it, there's certain things that can't fly from a chemistry perspective and from just building a winning chemistry perspective. So, yeah, I learned that the Sacramento Kings, they got next. And the Dubs, You know what I mean? Doesn't matter how great you were. If you're not on your A game, somebody's gonna knock you off your seat.
All right, so we're gonna go to Chewy to get a Kings perspective here. Then we're gonna go ahead and open it up to the non-Warriors and Kings so we can get their outside thoughts here on what was arguably the most entertaining first round series I've seen probably in the last 5 years. Chewy, you're coming in from the other side. So, fun fact: I lived in Sacramento. I went to Kings games at Arco Arena. It was horrible. Arca was horrible. The food was horrible, and the basketball was horrible. Last year, though, Mike Brown came over from the Golden State Warriors, and that was what people said was the turn. I'm going to go a little bit further. Bruce Leroy brought in De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox changed the culture in Sacramento through sheer individual willpower, right? A lot of people who don't watch the Kings, they don't understand that. I want to give you a chance, 30 seconds, to explain what makes De'Aaron Fox such a cultural phenomenon in Sacramento, and then go ahead and talk about that 7-game series and what your thoughts are.
Put me on the spot with Fox. So,
yeah,
I mean, last year was a great year for him to showcase who he was with the inaugural Clutch Player of the Year. You know, for him to have that year when that award was first introduced, and he ran away with it. That there was no doubt that he was the clear-cut favorite to win that award. People tried to say there was some other guys, but if you looked at the stats and you looked like there was no one else in the fourth quarter that I would have rather had the ball in his hands. Bringing his buddy over, Monk, that chemistry between those two guys, that Kentucky connection, that was poetry in motion. There's an old video when Fox still had his haircut with the braids in there, and he talks about how the Kings were going to be leaving Sacramento and how the fans came together to save the team and keep it in Sacramento. And he had said that he was going to be bringing the playoffs to the fans. And now here he is. It was not just him, but he's definitely a huge part of that. You see him having a child last year. He brings his child and his wife to every single game. Very, very down to earth, and I think the fans have that connection with him.
That's pretty cool. I remember when they drafted him, and I remember that a lot of people really just said he was an athlete. But I think in the 7-game series, he proved that notion wrong. And a lot of these Kentucky cats that get it. What was it in the 7-game series that you lost, right? What was it that made you lose? Because it was close. Like, it seemed that you had the momentum. But then life happened. What was it that happened, Chew? Tell us.
You mean other than HB missing that 3 in Game 6?
Was it a mentality thing? Because that's where I'm going from. Bruce Leroy said something good, right? When you win as a champion, you develop a confidence. When you win again, you develop a habit. When you win again and again, you understand.
Yeah.
The Kings went toe-to-toe 7 games and was right there. What is it that you need to do as a Kings organization to get you to the next level? Then we're going to bring in Born Rebel, Tony Vega and the Lakers, and DimeDropper of the Clippers to get their outside thoughts.
So this year, they brought in some guys on the second level. They brought in JaVale McGee. He's going to bring some hopefully not so much sacked in the fool stuff and more of the defense and rebounding stuff. In that series, Looney was a beast on the boards, and that's one area where even though Sabonis was a rebounding leader in the season, Looney was a beast in that series, and we just couldn't handle him. And Sabonis had that broken finger the entire season, but you wouldn't have known it. Fox broke his finger in that series as well. Keegan had a broken finger as well, but nobody really even knew about it. Everyone gets injuries. I don't want to make that an excuse, but that played a big part in that series. Now going into this series, we're bringing over the EuroLeague MVP and Sasha. We still got Monk. We're bringing in different guys with Chris Duarte that hopefully has that experience with Sabonis. It's all about just the little things. We didn't make any big splashy moves. And I think if everybody can tie into that chemistry, tie into that culture that Mike Brown, the fierce unanimous coach of the year last year, if everyone can tie into that and buy into that culture, I think that will get us to the next level. The problem is we were surprisingly very, very healthy, and a lot of the other teams weren't. And a lot of other teams did make big splashes, and everyone's going to be better in the West. So our record might come down, but I think everyone's record is going to kind of be balanced. It's going to be a tough, tough West.
All right, there you go. Now we're going to take the gloves off because we're going to bring in some Lakers fans and some Clippers fans. You know them. It's Tony and Born Rebel. They're going to tell you that nobody on Sacramento or Golden State can match the sheer star power of Austin Reeves. And then you got DimeDropper over here fighting the good fight, saying PG and Kawhi is going to lead his team without this rest to a championship. We'll go, since there's two Lakers, we're going to go to DimeDropper, host of DimeDropper on YouTube, as well as the Locked on Clippers podcast, a man who pulls no punches. So we're going to open up swinging. Get your thoughts on the Kings and the Warriors out the way, and then go ahead and challenge anything you heard from these three dope content creators.
What's going on, guys? I mean, all due respect to the Warriors, I think they're kind of cooked. I think Steph Curry is incredible, although he is also declining. Still a top 3 player in the league for me, though. Klay Thompson, he really, really went brick squad in the Lakers series, and that's my favorite Warrior of them all. Is he going to bounce back? I see people saying, Klay's going to have this bounce back season. These Warriors fans on my timeline. I mean, I don't know, man. He's not getting any younger. He can't really slide his feet the same way he used to. He's not the same defender at all. But the thing about Klay is I wouldn't put it past him to get hot in the right game for the Warriors because he has championship DNA. The bigger thing with me is Draymond. Draymond, we know about all the stuff off the court that Warriors fans have had a problem with, his LeBron fandom, his punching of Jordan Poole. This offseason has shown us where the Warriors front office is. They're behind the vets, the big three, the whole way till the end. So Jordan Poole was gone. They brought in CP3. To me, I made a tweet last year after the Lakers series that I think that Klay or Draymond, one of them got to go to the bench. They got to mix this starting lineup up. But they're not going to do that. Chris Paul, because I know people are going to say, oh, they had the best net rating in the league in the regular season. I'm so tired of hearing that. Klay Thompson bricked every shot in the playoffs, and people know that the Warriors' backcourt can't defend anymore. Wiggins is amazing. I love Wiggins. But Chris Paul is so, I don't know. If Steph Curry helps that dude win a championship, oh, man, he can get put even higher in his all-time
generational gravity.
Chris Paul, I don't know what it's going to be like with that team. Then it's the whole, is Chris Paul going to start or not? Is Draymond going to come off the bench? It's a mess. I mean, I don't know what's going on over there. I like Kuminga and Moody, but I'll tell you what, Sacramento I'm a lot higher on. Sacramento, everyone's sleeping on them. They got continuity. They didn't really make that many big moves, but De'Aaron Fox is a stud. He's going to keep getting better. His prime is approaching. Keegan Murray's going to be in his second year. Davion Mitchell, one of my favorite perimeter defenders in the league, just defenders in the league. If Sabonis worked on his little mid-range, if he actually can be respected from 15 feet, 12 feet, then the Kings are going to win a series this year, possibly. Very, very good chance of it. But I think Sacramento in the regular season, they have a really good chance to be really good again because they're a younger team, so I figure they're going to stay healthier. Now, Chewie did say they got the health luck last season. I'd hope that luck happens for them again because they just had better injury luck than the rest of the league or the rest of the West. But the way they're coached, the way they practice hard, I think they just created some good habits. I think the Kings are going to be a very good regular season team. I think the Warriors are still more dangerous in the playoffs, though. The last thing I'll say is I still don't think the Kings have a chance to win a championship. The Warriors, just because of the simple fact that they're battle-tested and they have Steph Curry, I still think they have one of the 6 or 7 highest chances of any team to win it all. Even though I think they're cooked, they still have a good chance. Not a good chance, a chance because of Steph. But, yeah, I think they got to switch up that starting lineup, man, but they didn't bring in anybody worth the change. I think Klay's just passed it. Draymond, it's like we're gonna the Warriors win depending on whether Draymond's gonna look at the basket or not on a given night. Like it's I don't know. I'm not having it anymore.
I love it. Let's get the Lakers thoughts in here. Then we're gonna allow them to go ahead and respond because like I know Gift is ready. Who's gonna take it first, Born or Tony?
Well, hold on real quick because we're gonna do some Shaq and Kobe shit. Because Chris, you brought up Austin Reeves. Tony, do you want to let the folks know who Austin Reeves is?
Wait.
Oh, come on, Tony.
He didn't eat it. He didn't have it. He
No
didn't
faith
have
in
it.
Austin Reeves already. That's crazy.
Wait, is that
No, do the full clip, Tony.
Austin, you're him.
I mean,
That's who Austin-
I only have 2 clips. It's not.
No, that's all we got to do. Well, look, first of all, I just want to thank, DimeDropper. If you're going to refer to the Warriors, need to refer to them as their full name, the Golden Aged Warriors. Because anytime I look at this roster, I just want to say thank you for being a friend. Okay, if anyone knows those words, thank you for being a friend. Because let me tell you what these people did, right? So, we had an understanding with the Warriors, okay? Because we knew, okay? Folks know on Lakers Twitter, NBA Twitter, Warriors Twitter. We all knew that if we meet in the playoffs, it's going to go crazy. So we had an understanding. Hey, yo, we'll take care of business. We'll see you in the next round. These guys said, hey, you know what? Let LeBron get a couple of extra days of rest. We finished our business in 6 games against the Grizzlies. They decided to, give us some extra rest and, go to 7 games. Man, Chris, you're the food connoisseur. I don't know what dish you want to say, but these guys are cooked food. These guys, Tony, barbecue chicken, like
Barbecue chicken alert! Barbecue chicken alert!
yes. But yeah, I don't see it. Look, and shout out to did anyone find it suspicious that a Clutch client won the Clutch Award? Just saying. Tony, you're the fix is in. The fix is in. But Tony, go ahead, my brother.
I mean, I'm again. Zen goes heavy. I kind of go to the real side, but I kind of like what the Kings have going for them. Like their trajectory. Like I do agree with DimeDropper. They're most likely going to win the series. They may surprise. I think everybody has, from every list that I've seen, they have the Kings like down like in 6, 7, something crazy, which I don't believe that to be true. I still believe they're going to be a force, and if Sasha can hit, if the continuity works, I feel like that's going to be a imposing team this season. The Warriors, though, I'll be honest. It's kind of funny to see kind of like the attachment to Kuminga and kind of like the desperation. Like you kind of need Kuminga, you kind of need Moody to a certain extent. Like the thing about the Warriors that I like, it wasn't a problem about like CP3. I feel like CP3, we kind of know what he's going to bring. I feel like you know what Curry is. You know what Clay can do to a certain extent. But the question marks was always Kuminga, Moody. Is Steve Kerr going to play them? Are there going to be politics? I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of question marks, but this preseason seems to be positive. So hopefully it goes well for you guys. But I just hope Kuminga does a good job for you guys. That's all. Like, I hope that preseason translates to the regular season. So,
all right, like there you go. You had 2 flamethrowers, and you had someone coming in with like a very good chocolate chip. I'm gonna give you some compassion and empathy take here with Tony, and then in the end he tries to throw like a weird curveball at y'all. I see Gifted and Bruce Leroy ready, like they're ready to go. Chewie's just sitting here. He's like the dots are connecting. We'll go to Gifted Blade first. We'll go to Bruce Leroy second. Gifted, you are up. We're gonna give you 2 minutes, man. You got 120 seconds. Caleb, go.
Okay, so first things first, DimeDropper, much respect to you. I'm happy that you think that we are cooked, but at least you'll be able to see our team play in the playoffs and get cooked and not do these what-ifs every year like with your team. For the Los Angeles Lakers, I find it funny how you talk about us being aged when you have Anthony Day-to-Day Davis and LeBron James at age 40 playing on your roster. Like you don't need Austin Reeves to be a foul gripper to have success in the playoffs. I think that's very interesting. And I got to say, the Kings are a good team. And ironically, a big part of why we were unable to be successful in the second round is because we played competition in the first round. You guys played a Memphis Grizzlies team that had Ja Morant hurt, had a compromised front court, which we all understand. If Memphis front court was fully healthy, the defense would have been a lot more potent and would have been a much harder competition for the Lakers to come out of. But instead, Golden State had to play a fully healthy Sacramento Kings team that during the series, things happened, of course. We had to go back and forth, and Steph Curry had to be the master among all masters for us to win. That's what it was. I just find it funny because Kuminga is still one of the better young wings in the league. And if you had guys actually watch basketball last year, when there was no Steph Curry, he was closing out lineups and actually locking up Kawhi and Paul George in the regular season. That's what I remember personally. So, Dime, I hope that your team can actually have guys that play basketball. Oh, wait, you also traded all those picks and Shea for those two guys who are also up after this season. So this season seems a bit more pressing for you than us because we actually won the championship. Oh, wait, the Lakers didn't do that in the last 2 years. I'm sorry. That's just me, though.
Right, look at that. All time, too.
See, but I knew you were not going to actually address what I said and come back at my team, which I have less faith in than you probably do. The Warriors, I have a better chance of winning a championship than the Clippers. The Clippers, you guys think I'm going to come here on and defend them like crazy? Like, no, man, I said blow it up this summer. But you know what? I have to buy into these guys. I personally just think the Warriors are a little cooked. The Clippers, I mean, we have nothing to stand on. You feel me? It's all what ifs and nonsense. I wasn't going to come in here defending them, but I always wanted to see if you addressed what I actually said about your team, because I actually have a great deal of respect for the Warriors. I just think that they needed an injection of something that's a little bit more reliable than just Kuminga and Moody's ascension. Because I really do believe in it. Development, yeah. Chris Paul is not it to me. But yeah.
So Dom, let me say this, man. You probably one of my favorite Clipper fans on Twitter. We might not engage all the time, but I love what you're doing. You know your stuff. But for you to use the word cook, and I know you are an intellectual when it comes to sports, aren't we getting a bit emotional? The Warriors just won a championship 2 years ago, right? They just won a championship 2 years ago, and with all the turmoil that was going on behind the scenes, behind closed doors, I understand you don't want to hear it, but they did have the best five-man lineup according to all of the analytics. And we know the NBA is driven by analytics these days, right? And, okay, let me say this, right? Tony Vega, I understand you saying, the ascension of Kuminga and the future line on Moody. These guys didn't even play in the finals. These guys they were not even asked to do much, maybe 1 or 2 games a series just 2 years ago, right? And now, let's say we move forward, we do understand change does have to come, right? Do you know that David Lee rather, who many Warrior fans love, he just got hurt, and nobody thought Draymond Green was going to morph into the player that Golden State, this is who we needed. But you would not have had those injuries not come. It's like Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson wasn't with the Warriors for the first 50 games. Jordan Poole was there. The Warriors started off 18-2. So sometimes an injury can empower a Terrence Mann or, another player, and all of a sudden you say, wait, we got actually greater players. You understand? So, I think what you're seeing in the preseason, you just kind of don't put up almost 30 points every other game and just look this dominant to just not be a stud. So my hope is that Kuminga does grow. But as you mentioned, they got Steph Curry and, Tom Brady. They thought he was cooked, too. He came to Tampa Bay, almost 40-something years old, going through a divorce, and he still found a way to win. So, again, as long as the Power Rangers got those powers, hey, man, anything can happen out there in the Bay.
I love the Tom Brady reference. This guy, Chewie, he's going to come in with a retort because, I think what a lot of people are saying is, man, those Sacramento Kings, they sure did play hard, but then they leave it at that. That's all I'm hearing. Literally, the only one who was up here who said something positive was Gifted. Everybody else was yo, that was cute. That was real cute. Let's see you do it again. Tell them how they're going to do it again.
I've honestly never heard so much positivity come my way, actually. I mean, the last 17 years, it's all been trash, poverty, this, that, oh, yeah, it's cute. You won more than 30 games. I will say that last year was a big dream. I've been a fan since the early 90s. So to live through I don't want to go through the early 2000s like I did with the Lakers. But to go through that, go through the dips, and then come back up now like I am now, like that last year was a dream. This year, the way that the Kings are going to come through, man, it's going to be rough. If Sabonis can knock down that jumper and not be afraid, I don't know how many times last year I'm just yelling at the TV, stop being so fucking soft. He's soft at the rim. It needs to be hard. He needs to throw it down. Needs to be more aggressive underneath. I know that dribble handoff during the regular season was a thing of beauty, but in the playoffs, the Warriors shut that dribble handoff down. What's his name? Herter is still trying to get his swing back. During the preseason, he's been trash. Like, I don't know what happened to him. Earlier in the season, you had KD talking like he was the next, ascending god of shooting, and now I don't know where he went. So I pump the brakes anytime that there's anything good to do with the Kings, because I've suffered through so much. I've been in that drought. Anytime there's anything good, I'm that pessimistic fan, just like, I'll wait until I see it. Like, I can't fight the Lakers. I can't fight the Warriors on anything until I see my own team prove me wrong. Like, to try to fight those big powerhouses, it's hard sometimes. I find myself buddying up against the Clippers fans. I was born in Southern California, and I would have ended up being a Clippers fan and suffering just like I did up here in Northern California as a Kings fan. So that question of how are they going to overcome it, I don't know. I don't know how my team overcomes things. I've never seen it.
I get that. You brought up something in regards to the Lakers and Warriors, and that's what we're going to move to next. We're actually going to start with you, Chewie. We're going to do it reverse. We opened up the show talking from teams and their respective creators. We're actually going to flip it. We're going to go to the other creators and talk about the Lakers and Warriors matchup first. So we're going to go Chewie, then we're going to go Dime, then we're going to bring it back in, and we'll get Gifted Blade, Bruce Leroy, Tony Vega, and Born Rebel. Look, you guys lost, Chewie, to the team that was better during that matchup. Like, shit happens. We get it. But then you got to watch them play the Warriors, and the Lakers, and you saw them lose. And it was not necessarily a pretty loss in terms of how they lost the series. What did you think when you saw it? And did you feel a little bit of redemption, some good, like, you know what? I'm glad they lost. Go ahead and get that off the chest now. I promise we won't hold it against you. But give us your thoughts, and then we'll go over to Dime to get his thoughts on the Warriors-Lakers.
So going back to what I was saying with how my old-time fandom, my new rivalry, my new hatred is of the Warriors and the young Warrior fans that talk shit. As I walk down Sacramento and my city is covered in gold, and they're talking shit to me, and I'm like, man, I've lived through the shit. You can't talk shit to me, right? Like, anything that you say, my own team talks shit to me, okay? Like, I lived through that. And then, so, to live through that, and then to see the Warriors lose to the Lakers, my old rival, it brings back that hatred for the Lakers. And it's like, I'm happy and I'm sad at the same time, because the team that just beat me lost, so I'm happy, but the team that I hate won. So it's like this give and take, this love-hate. What I saw, though, was that had we made it to the second round, we probably would have made it to the Western Conference Finals. Like, that team that played, the Lakers team that played the Warriors, I have almost no doubt in my mind that the Kings would have beaten the Lakers in that series. And the only thing that would have kept them from winning was either the injury that Fox had to his finger or 2003 refs again. That's like the only thing that would have kept us from going to that series. Now, we might have been swept in the Western Conference by the Nuggets, but I don't think that we would have lost that series versus the Lakers.
All right, cool. Dime, hop in here. We're going to go quickly. We got a couple of more topics, then we're going to open it up with the ESPN Top 100, and it's going to be pretty free-flowing. I'm going to take the brakes off, and they're just going to go at it when we start saying names. Dime, Warriors, Lakers last season, 6 games. What's your thoughts? Gifted and Bruce, take it up right after him.
I think the Lakers just proved to be way too big for the Warriors in the front court, especially. They dominated them on the glass, dominated them on the inside. Kevon Looney is a very solid player, but he was kind of neutralized a bit in that series. Wasn't that the series, guys? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like he didn't play that much, right? You guys tried going small.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah. It went from Kevon Looney's like the second best player in the series for the Warriors to he's not even getting really the same amount of minutes. I think the Lakers definitely improved a bit this offseason. I don't think the Warriors have really addressed the size thing against the Lakers. I think Saric is going to be a good addition. He's going to work well in the system, but I just look at the Warriors roster. They don't even have a 7-footer on the team. Like this is like the late 1950s or something. Like I get it's small ball, but it's a little too small for me with the Lakers. They have a lot of skilled size in the front court. I mean, LeBron, he's still 6'9", 260. Like Anthony Davis, and then you have Hachimura, who's a bigger forward. Of course, the development of Kuminga will help the matchups against guys like Rui, guys like LeBron, but the Lakers are too big, in my opinion, for the Warriors. And again, I don't see that the Warriors made such huge changes to get over that hump. I think Klay Thompson needs to be much better, and Draymond needs to be much better. I just don't really have the full faith in them, especially Draymond, that they will. It's tough when you have 2 non-shooters in the court with Looney and Draymond, and then Klay's bricking everything. So that's why. And then Peyton, awesome point of attack defender, but he also can't really hit a shot from the outside. So I don't see I see the Lakers as a better team, not by so much, but they're a better team to me.
Yeah, I kind of agree in terms of the size. I think that's really the position that Steve Kerr and now Michael Dunleavy Jr. has put the Warriors in by bringing in Chris Paul and not really bringing in somebody to help beef up the front court with Kevon Looney and Draymond. Gifted, Bruce, it was a brutal loss for y'all. Like, it just really was. Like, there's no sugarcoating it. What did you see? What do you think changes it this year? I have 2 thoughts. One, I think the Warriors are going to shock people with an offensive dynamism, like a dynamic on offense that the league just isn't necessarily ready for. And I think they can switch it up as well and make it a full young run team during the parts where they're resting Steph. So like I see hyper efficiency and then like fast transition spurts with Moody and Kuminga. What do you see coming out of that loss?
Let me go off first, Gifted. Let me say this, right? In my opinion, right, I don't like to make too many excuses, but you just have to call a spade, right? The Lakers pretty much shot 387 free throws. The next closest was 184, the Miami Heat. That was complete crazy. That was not normal. And like, if you don't want to point out a foul disparity, fine. Loon averaged let's say 15 rebounds in the first game, and Loon averaged 15 rebounds in the first series against the Kings, right? And then he averaged 10 rebounds against the Lakers. And we understand how the Lakers or any LeBron James team against the Warriors is going to play. They're going to sell out to where the shooters are. And your shooters are Steph. Klay Thompson, who came to camp out of shape, pretty much that entire series, he was shooting the Warriors out of the series, right? So you could see Jordan doing it in the first series. You could see him do it, that shot that he took, and everybody looked at him. I think it was to end game 1 when he took that long 3, and everybody was looking like, dude, why'd you take that shot? So I think certain kind of issues that you would have, because everybody every year talks about size, but the Warriors have kind of done away with size, and that's the reason why they started winning. And they just won 2 years ago with Otto Porter inserted into the starting lineup. So, like, I'm not really focused on size. I'm focused on people who are willing to play for each other and know how. You understand? And so, Draymond Green, I will say this. I'm not a fan of him being so close to LeBron James, because if you look at the energy that he gave the Sacramento Kings, Chewie, when he went at your teammates and he was cursing at them and pointing at people and telling them what he thought they was, and I'll keep it clean, but those words that he used, he didn't use that same energy versus the Lakers. And so I believe he's compromised when he played LeBron, because it's not the same passion that it used to be when he was in Cleveland. So if the Lakers do match up with the Warriors, I don't want it to be like first round, second round. It would have to be the Western Conference Finals. But I'm also of the belief like every year, Laker teams or LeBron teams they get specific players to be traded. So like I'm not even worried about who's on the Laker roster now because they're going to be movements done at the trade deadline or before. You know what I mean? But like I said, if the Golden State could just do what they do, focus on the guys in the locker and play for each other, we'll be good. That's how I feel.
All right, Gifted, you're up. We got about another 10 minutes of this segment, and we're going to get into the ESPN Top 100 because this one, I'm going to let you guys go back and forth because there's a lot of players on the list that I don't think they're in the right position, and I think there's a lot of players on the list that you don't think are in the right position. Gifted, go ahead, finish up the Warriors and Lakers.
Yeah, so my perspective on the series coming in is LA had more size, and they had more guys that got to the rim more than Golden State did. In that playoff run, the only guys that actually got to the basket for the three-point line, to the paint, would be Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, and Andrew Wiggins. Jordan Poole was unplayable because his defense was terrible, and he wasn't making any shots on the offensive end. Andrew Wiggins was coming off of that competitive Kings series and also not playing basketball for a very long time. So his burst towards the basket also was not quite there. Kevon Looney couldn't really play in the series as much because Anthony Davis could actually punish him off of the dribble with his skill and his strength. And the Lakers just had, a bit more size in transition as well to get to the free throw line. Some of the calls I didn't like, but I went in the series expecting it to be that way because they had more size. The lack of shooting that Golden State had in that series really hurt them. The motion offense died a lot, and it came down to Steph basically every possession having to create offense out of the pick and roll. A lot of people, for whatever reason, have the notion that Draymond is the point guard of Golden State. But if you watch the entire series, Steph was running pick and roll with Gary Payton. He was running pick and roll with JaMychal Green. They were trying to make Anthony Davis have to come up and play defense so he could get out the paint so they could find easier looks. But they didn't have a consistent shooter in the corners. I think this year, Dario Saric, even though defensively he's not that great of a positive, offensively, the spacing, you have to respect it. You saw that early in the preseason, how he can bend the floor. And on top of it, Kuminga played 0 minutes in that series to actually impact it. I said coming into the playoffs, it makes no sense after the season Kuminga had where he stepped up greatly for him to not get any playoff minutes at all. And you saw in that series, Moses Moody was actually a very reliable player in terms of how he crashed the glass and shot threes out of the corner as well. If you insert athleticism with Kuminga, who is arguably our most athletic player on the team who actually will get to the free throw line. For instance, last night he shot 17 free throws in a game. That type of vertical rim pressure with our spacers makes a ton of sense. And Chris Paul, again, I think his ball handling and understanding of how the game is flowing, his floor will be much higher than Jordan Poole. And even though he might be compromised sometimes defensively, I don't think he's going to get played out of an entire playoff series if healthy like Poole was. I think those are the biggest X factors. And having a guy that can take the pressure off of Steph to have to play make and create everything can help Steph basically solely focus on trying to get baskets compared to having to do everything at all facets all the time on the court and not really having his legs when on the other end they're also going at Steph to tire him out offensively. So I think when you think of all of those things, that is what makes them different for this year. And also, they just had a ton of open shots that they still created that they just didn't hit. You lose if you don't hit your shots, obviously we know that, but the fact that you have these guys who are this level of shooter, arguably if they get those same types of looks, it might not go that way a second time. So that would be my argument.
All right, a lot of size and rim pressure there that the Los Angeles Lakers, bring to bear on their opponents. It's kind of sickening if you think about it. If you don't want to think about it, I can understand. But now we got to bring in Tony Vega and Born Rebel. You guys win. As Lakers fans, you rub it in. It's totally okay. We understand how it works. An interesting thing happened. You guys said that the Lakers didn't really make a big splash. They couldn't. But they did re-sign everybody that did bring over. They do have an actual young roster outside of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So it's something that is unique because it seems that Rob Pelinka might have figured out a 2 timeline strategy for the Lakers that seemingly works. after you guys won, you lose to Denver. But what in this series do you take away from it? And then now heading into this season, when you watch what the Golden State Warriors did, in essence, in response to losing to the Lakers, what do you see? And after this, we'll go into the ESPN Top 100. Because I'm going to say this now, Russell Westbrook is lower than he should be.
Facts.
Is Born there?
I'm here. So a couple of things. I just love how these Warrior fans are all bold and stuff just because Draymond is the final boss to Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. But, Gifted, you said something earlier, okay? You better show respect to Anthony Davis. It's not Anthony Day-to-Day Davis. Anthony Medicaid Davis. All right? So, we can make fun of him, not you. But, look, one thing I appreciate about the Warriors, like they are like I'm going to start calling them the little giants, because I've been listening for about 6-7 minutes how these guys are trying to convince all of us that size don't matter. They're pretty much saying, hey, not the size of the ship that matters, it's the motion in the ocean. So you know what? That's who the Warriors are. They are the motion in the ocean. All right, but look, oh God, yeah, shout out J Love. But look, you know what? What the series meant for us? It meant that we were the California State champion. That's what it meant. We bust ass in 6 games. This year we're gonna bust ass in 5 games. And CP3, they're really planning on CP3. There's a such thing as seasonal allergies, not seasonal hamstring flare-ups. But you guys are really depending on CP3 to be healthy in May. All right, buddy. Tony, it's all yours, man.
Yeah. I think there is something that Denver series also kind of showed us. Yeah, exactly. That dude. That's this part. Like
emotional damage.
I was gonna be frank. Like the Lakers were swept. Like there's no if, ands, or buts. We were swept. Yes. Gifted, I can see that. I know we can emotionally be damaged. That's all. This is group therapy. So, I mean, bro, like the thing that I kind of like about this coming season is just we had D'Lo basically run off the court, and to see him producing what he's producing now. Again, it's preseason. We take it with a grain of salt, but his attitude, his mentality has completely shifted. He's not the same player. So to a certain point, I kind of feel like that is probably the biggest hurdle if we can get D'Lo to be productive and that he can actually stay on the floor and not be schemed off or be targeted. That would be ideal. Other than that, I like the pieces. Again, there are a lot of good role players. I think it's going to come down to Anthony Davis. It's going to come down to LeBron James. It's going to come down to our stars. And by the way, it's going to come down to number 66, Austin Reeves, which is cracked the top 100 ESPN. But we can go on that route later. But to a certain thing, I don't like the whole foul baiting situation and the whole free throw disparity. Like I feel like it's getting to the point where it's kind of crazy. It kind of takes away from the game. And I try to be objective. I try to rewatch these games as much as possible. And it's just 2 different styles of game. It's just the Lakers, like even in that series, if I'm not mistaken, and even before, like they were not a good 3-point shooting team. Like they had to go and drive the basketball. It was basically an Anthony Davis show or Dennis Schroeder trying to create something. It was very pause rim pressure. So to a certain point, it's just gonna inherently create more foul opportunities. But it's either here and there. I think it's gonna be a crazy season, especially in the West. So I'm excited for it.
All right, you said the stars, and now we're going to head into the stars. ESPN put out their top 100 players. Literally, the entire Warriors roster that should be on here that started. That's first. Second, some of these names that are in the top 100, they're pretty low. Let's go through it. We have Steph Curry at 5, LeBron at 9, AD at 10, PG 18. You have the Kings tandem of Sabonis and Fox coming in at 22 and 23. Kawhi's 24. And then you start seeing a drop. It drops to Clay at 41, Wiggs at 54, Draymond 55, C3P. Chris Paul hit 76, Kevon Looney at 88, and I'm going to say this, I think Looney should be ranked ahead. And then Westbrook at 94, and Harrison Barnes rounding out at 96. Now, there's a very simple rule in team building in the NBA. You get 2 top 25 players, it increases your chances of winning a championship. If you get 8 top 10 and a top 25, it increases above the team with 225 and so forth. I don't like these top 100 rankings. I think that they're arguably now more popularity and subjectivity as opposed to everybody getting together and agreeing on like an idea of how we're going to actually measure players. But there's one thing that I do want to say. When we rank players, do you as a content creator go in saying this is the height that they can be or this is what they are right now? Because that's what I think I see. And we're going to go ahead and open up with the Los Angeles Clippers first. I can see PG at 18. I don't even think I've seen 24 games of Kawhi Leonard in the last 2 years. Why is he this high, Dime?
Why is Paul George that high? Or
No, Kawhi. PG's there. I've seen him.
I know.
You think Kawhi's high?
Kawhi, would you put Kawhi in the top 25?
Me? I mean, yeah, I think the thing about Kawhi is last season he only played 4 less games than Paul. And if you count the playoffs, in total he only played 2 less games than Paul. And when Kawhi's healthy, there's no – like, we don't really have any basketball criticisms for Kawhi Leonard. It's really just play more and stay healthier because when he plays – to me, he could be a top 3 player in the NBA. Like, I'm really being serious. When he plays, he's really that good. If you look at the stretch he had from January onwards, he was insane. Like 26, 7, and
50, 40, 90 in that stretch.
Like 50, 40, 90. I mean, he's not the all defensive level defender that he once was, but he's still a very solid defender. He's still a good defender. And then in the playoffs, when all the bright lights were on, he was looking like the best player in the series with Devin Booker playing at an insane level and Kevin Durant being Kevin Durant. And he was still looking like the best player in the series. We had gotten the split that we wanted in Phoenix without Paul George because Kawhi was just that good. So I would agree with you, Chris, if it was maybe a season before this, but the fact that Paul George only played 2 more games than Kawhi last season and is higher than him, even though he's clearly not a better player, I don't think Paul George should be above Kawhi even after last season. I'm sorry. There's only 4-game difference or 2-game difference. So that's my thing. I know the reputation around Kawhi because Paul George will play when he's like has a little injury. Like he won't play. He doesn't have to be like 90+% to play. It feels like Kawhi only plays when he's in like 90+% because of his team doctors or his personal doctors or whatever. And yeah.
Where does PG fall in your top 100?
I'd say around somewhere between 16 to 20. But I think Kawhi Leonard, it's just tough, right? Because of the amount of games played. But listen, Karl Anthony Towns was ranked above Kawhi Leonard. And Karl Anthony Towns played 29 games. I would take Kawhi Leonard with 1 knee over Karl Anthony Towns. Like, that's insane. So I think Kawhi should be top 20. Maybe you can switch them. But although 24 is still kind of a little low for Paul George, that list was all over the place, though. So
I agree with it being all over the place. What are your guys' thoughts on the Clippers tandem of PG and Kawhi in the top 25? Whoever wants to go first, go.
Yeah, I feel like the Kawhi disrespect kind of gets on my nerves a little bit because people have no qualms about where KD is, but Kawhi actually played more games than KD last year, and that's Kawhi coming off of injury. Like, Kevin Durant has also been a lapsed player, but people don't talk about it because he's this 7-foot killer, I guess. I don't really get that. Kawhi Leonard, when he plays, is one of the best players in basketball. And in that playoff series, I feel like Dime really undersold it. Kawhi was by far the best player on the floor for anyone that was there in both of those games, and he was still not all the way healthy. That's just how good of a player that he is. To put Paul George over him when Paul George has also been compromised and hurt really doesn't make any sense to me. But I don't really get mad at these types of lists anymore because it's really just for engagement, and I understand what the game is. But it's laughable to think that we have to really talk about should Kawhi be top 25. I really don't get that.
All right. Anybody else want to give their thoughts?
No, I think, yeah, like once you earn certain things, as like far as accolades, let's say, as far as becoming a champion and stuff like that, I kind of understand like why some people. I don't understand why LeBron James is top 10. I mean, his team was 33-49 last season, and they had him ranked at 6. So we know, as the great Kobe Bryant said, he know that those people are idiots. As you said, it's a popularity voting contest. These are the same people who say, the same people making these votes are the same people who are trying to vote for LeBron James in the NBA Finals to be the MVP, and he lost. Like, come on, man, this is not a Jerry West era. So I do understand that. Like, me personally, I thought Jokic was going to be the top-ranked player. When LeBron James won in the bubble, he was ranked 1. Anthony Davis was ranked 2. Steph Curry wins in the bubble. I mean, Steph Curry wins 2 years ago. He's ranked like 5. So I think that's a good point, Dom, because a lot of people – and I'm going to tell you what the issue is real quick. So Paul George and Kawhi haven't really missed this great amount of games. Like, there's not this big difference, as you just pointed out. But I think because Kawhi had the bands coming into to Los Angeles saying, you know, I want Paul George, right? And then also a part of his contractual agreement is he will be load managed, right? Which is kind of what Toronto did. I think from that perspective and the NBA not liking that and trying to find ways to get that out of the league, I think that's why he takes a bad rap for it. You know what I mean? And so even if, as he came out and said the other day, he doesn't play because he's hurt. Every time he's healthy, he plays, so he doesn't know what people are talking about. But that's not how the masses are looking at it, and you can see that they'll do this where voting and different things like that is concerned. If they don't feel like you're up to the par for their liking, you'll be penalized in this regard as well.
I like that take. Russell Westbrook falls into that take. He's ranked 94th. Last year, he averaged 16.64, 7.5 assists, 1 steals per game, and he had 24 double-doubles. Someone tell me some good news. Where would you have Russell Westbrook? Because at 94, I'm having a very hard time to not move him up into maybe
he's still top
35.
50. He's still top 50, top 40. And if we're going to give, that's what I'm saying. If we're going to give Kevin Durant the benefit of the doubt, why we can't give the guy who averaged 3 triple-doubles year in, year out by himself the benefit of the doubt? And you know why, guys? Because he played for LeBron James. And this is what happens. No, I'm telling you. This is what happens. You play with LeBron James, and you get all of the blame because none of the blame is to him. It's to his teammates. It's to the guys who get traded. It's to Frank Vogel. We're no longer talking about Frank Vogel being an elite defensive coach. We're blaming everybody else. So, guys, if you don't want your ESPN rankings to be affected and you still want to make money, don't play with LeBron James.
Okay, so wait, hold on. I have to jump in here. I have to jump in here, all right? Because first
He ain't lying.
That's funny.
No. Okay, so here's the thing with Westbrook, okay? Was it LeBron James' fault when he was consistently hitting the shot clock?
Yeah, confidence matters. I'll just say that.
Okay,
Thank you, Don.
so LeBron James is responsible for Westbrook's confidence.
Of course.
Okay.
Not
yeah.
solely, though. I'm not going to say solely.
So
but
let's see. He OKC, then he went to Houston. Didn't work in Houston, but that's LeBron's fault.
Wait, time out.
Wait,
Okay.
that doesn't really mean anything, bro.
That
He's in
means
Los
nothing.
Angeles.
No, because
The
we're
Rockets
bringing.
weren't
Okay,
that bad, though. The Rockets are
weren't.
doing decent. Then they
Actually, Westbrook played the best ball of his career, arguably, when he was in Houston. He just got hurt in the playoffs, which is out of his control.
They
And
also
then people also try to say the same thing about Chris Paul, but he had a phenomenal year in Houston as well.
and
I just don't look. The thing with Westbrook is he's a great player, but I'm going to say this regarding Westbrook. All right, Westbrook is still a solid player because there was even times, and DimeDropper, you might not agree with this. There was times again in that Phoenix series when Westbrook was actually the best player for you guys.
yeah, when down, I agree.
Yeah. So, but this is the problem with Westbrook. It's the blooper reel. It's the getting your layups blocked by the rim. It's the jumpers that's going in the third row. We saw this for a season and a half up close. Like his mistakes are just so glorious that it's just like it's so memorable that when they're making these lists, you're like, can I really put this guy in the top 50? That has this crazy.
But that makes
it
no
might
sense
not
when
be
you're
fair.
putting rookies over who haven't played basketball yet.
Look.
Correct.
No. Look, here's the thing. This list is flawed. First of all, it starts off at number 1. Giannis is my favorite player in the league, but there is no one that can convince me that Jokic is not the number 1 player. As of right now, this is the list that came out in the preseason. So I understand that it's flawed. Westbrook at what? We're saying 96. Remember?
94.
Kobe,
Harrison
90,
Barnes.
okay, 94. Oh, okay. Westbrook at 94. Yeah, that's low. I would say it's low. But the thing with it's the optics with Westbrook that I think he's unfairly judged on.
Well, let me put it this way. Would you have Russell Westbrook ahead or behind Klay Thompson at 41?
Ooh, that one's rough. I'm gonna say I would have him behind. I would have him behind because you know what? Klay Thompson's mistakes, Klay Thompson's mistakes is not as bad as Westbrook's. And then also Westbrook.
That's not true. I can't let you do that.
It's
not true.
I mean, didn't you just say wasn't there a monologue saying like you needed a corner 3 and you didn't have it reliably? And whose job is that? Like again, it's Klay Thompson's job. So to a certain point, like he fell short, and even Westbrook to a certain point, yes, he's low, but I would probably have him behind Klay Thompson and probably in front of DeAndre Ayton, to be honest, because I don't know how you can put that, but and there's a lot more. Again, this list is flawed, but it's just there is no accountability. It's all LeBron James' fault. It's all LeBron James' fault that Westbrook actually
all his fault.
Misses the rim. It's Westbrook's fault that his decision making cost us games upon games upon games.
But Tony,
and I will say this to accountability. Yes, wait. I will say this with accountability. The Lakers front office did a disservice to Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
This front office, look at that roster that they built when they decided to pair the 3. That was bad. That was horrible. But if you look at his performance in a vacuum, it was pretty damn awful. Like his shot, everything. He had a midi before. He had confidence. I'm just saying, the lights were too bright. And if the light is LeBron James, then hey, good luck with the Clippers.
Tony, let me say this point real quick, though. Let me say this point. Russell, first and foremost, being a Steph Curry fan, I was never a Russell Westbrook apologist. I never came to the defense of Russell Westbrook. It was only until he went to LA, which is home for him, right? And, I mean, dude, all I'm saying is I've seen Russell Westbrook go at the Miami Heat, young, in the finals. I've seen Russell Westbrook play with Kevin Durant, have the Warriors down 3-1. And I've seen Russell Westbrook without Kevin Durant and play hard and win MVP. And, you could say it was a narrative. They gave it to him, whatever the case is. But, dude, when you go back home and when your wife is getting death threats, when your family is getting death threats, when the place that you always looked at as your refuge, when these people are, calling you things that you never imagined would happen where you're from, and they're praising someone else, dude, I understand why his confidence. You ever see somebody shoot some half-court shots to win 10,000 and they miss every single three-pointer? It's not that they couldn't make the 3. It's just, yeah, you're right, those lights. But Westbrook played in UCLA, bro. Is a California guy. The lights is not bright for him, dude. This is what he does. It's just, why is it that when he leaves and goes to the Clippers, all of a sudden he looks amazing again. Now, as you just said, you said the Lakers, the management did a disservice. First and foremost, LeBron is the GM. We know this, and we don't need to play the games. And with all due respect, LeBron said that he wanted Russell Westbrook. Carmelo came out and said, LeBron called me and said, I wanted you. It's our time. So it's fair to admit the management was following the lead of LeBron, and him with all of the IQ should have known, I don't think it's going to work, because when I need him to just hold a corner, hit a knockdown three, that's not his game. I just don't understand how he didn't know that.
So,
I mean,
All right,
you go ahead.
yeah, go.
Real quick, one last thing about Westbrook, and I will say this about Westbrook, that when he was with us, especially this last season, half a season, he was getting judged strictly by him being $47 million on the salary cap. Now, he still produced, he still was a decent player, but he wasn't a $47 million player. Obviously, that doesn't justify death threats, and whoever did that is scum of the earth. But yeah, he was getting judged based upon his salary that was probably based upon his skills from a few years prior. I just want to.
All right. I mean, that's fair, because it's what happened. It's what happens with all these contracts. Once the player no longer performs the production level of the contract, the fans turn on him. Like, that's just unfortunately the nature of the business. Also, in the nature of the business is misrepresenting a player's production and value. Domantas Sabonis is listed at 22. I have Domantas Sabonis firmly in my top 15, and he's one spot ahead of Anthony Davis. What do you have him at, Chewy? And let's get to the rest of the team. You laugh, but if you look at what he did, you can't argue with what he did. And that's the problem.
Ask Warriors fans. Ask Kings fans.
Sabonis at a little bit lower here.
No, ask Warriors fans who they think is better. Ask Warriors fans who they think is better between Sabonis and Anthony Davis. See what they say.
Hey, no, I hear what you're saying.
I just want to ask you, Chris, are you just saying production over value of that production? That's the question I am
saying that production and value for me is factored in to what an overall top 100 ranking comprises of. And when you do that, Domantas Sabonis averages, had the most triple-doubles, averaged, 20 and 12 essentially. How many games did he play versus AD? Mm-hmm. What was the record for the Kings? What's the value of the contract, compared to production? What's value of contract compared to production against expectations? I mean, production was there.
And I think my counter to that would be, if you look at Anthony Davis's production beyond just the basic counting stats, his defense is the reason why they were in the playoffs and even made it to a conference finals. I think that's way more valuable than whatever Sabonis provided, I would say.
All right, well, Sabonis provided, the ability to get a top-flight offense in the NBA and to make the playoffs for the first time in almost 2 decades.
And Anthony Davis provided a defense that was so stifling that he could change the entire roster on the fly at the trade deadline and still be productive, because that's how good he was defensively for that team. And despite the fact that they didn't have the best shooting, they could put their hats on defense because of who he was as a floor raiser defensively, not to mention what he was doing offensively as well throughout the playoffs, even though he was a bit more inconsistent on that end. But still, the floor of Anthony Davis offensively in the playoffs was better than Sabonis.
Okay,
he was playing against the Warriors.
So anybody else want to hop in? Like Chewy, you can hop in here. I have him. I have him higher. It's just, for me, the production is there.
So you said you would have him ahead of AD?
I have him ahead of AD. You have one spot.
So I don't know. So what I noticed was that the 3 that are in a row with Halliburton, Sabonis, and Fox, and could they not separate those guys? I mean, are they just going back to the trade, and they're like, because everyone was so wrong about the trade, saying that was a shit trade, and the Kings made such a bad decision. They're going to be poverty again. And now you look and see what the Kings were with Sabonis. And you see what Halliburton was for the Pacers. Yeah, they missed the playoffs, but they're going to be in the playoffs. Halliburton's way too good. He made the All-Star team. He's going to be All-NBA. Sabonis was All-NBA. But you put them all three next to each other. I mean, that's a little bit lazy to me. I believe that Sabonis should be higher. He should be higher than Cat. I don't know if he should be higher than AD because AD's game is more balanced to what Warriors. I'm sorry, I'm looking at your name. To what Bruce was saying, his game is much more balanced, so I wouldn't put him higher than AD. But again, this list that we're talking about the rookies earlier, this list is a little bit of what they were and a little bit of what they're gonna be. And you're talking about Russ earlier. Yeah, I would flip flop him and Draymond. I would put Draymond way further down than I would moving Russ up. But if you're talking about Sabonis and Fox and Halliburton, those things got to be moved around. But Sabonis definitely needs to bring his defense up, bring his rebound up. But when you talk about the value to the team, yeah, you see what he brought to the Kings. If you brought AD to the Kings, I think that same thing probably would have happened. You know, I mean, that game that AD could bring to the Kings, I think that we probably would have been in the playoffs as well. But at what cost, like you're saying, that value? So who would we have lost that we were able to keep for the value that we have Sabonis?
But see, Chewie, you selling yourself. You selling. My bad, Chris. But Chewie, you selling yourself kind of short, man. I mean, like, let me say this, right? They got Sabonis ahead of De'Aaron Fox, and I understand how special Sabonis is.
He's not better than Fox.
But Fox is a dog, and in the moment where greatness is championed, which is the playoffs, Sabonis laid an egg. I mean, you got Looney getting 20-plus rebounds on you and Draymond punking you almost. And I'm seeing De'Aaron Fox with a broken finger rise to the occasion. So it's hard for me who Sabonis didn't win anything in Indiana. And that's why I like Anthony Davis. He was special. And you remember the talks were about the Grizzlies. And they had a lot of stuff going on. People had the Grizzlies winning that series against the Lakers, right? And so I don't give Anthony Davis all this credit as everybody else does because when he was the single man in New Orleans by himself, he couldn't get it done. So I'm not going to give him all the credit now. If they don't have LeBron James, they don't win a lot of these games. Simple. So
That's
Fox
true.
is that guy for me.
That's not
You're pretty low, Tony. We can't hear you.
Okay, I mean,
Gifted. I saw you have a physical reaction. Gifted. Hop in here while we wait for Tony to pop in with his mic.
Yeah, the LeBron stuff is kind of weird to me because we saw stretches with both of them out, and Anthony Davis was their most important player over LeBron. I get like the legacy of who LeBron James is as a player, but unequivocally making lineups with three smaller guards work was solely because of what Anthony Davis did defensively. Now, I'm not saying that Anthony Davis is the most consistent star player in the league. Of course not, but that Lakers team was built on one thing and one thing alone. It was their defense. And LeBron James, obviously played defense to fit into that, but he wasn't elevating lineups at the same rate as Anthony Davis was last season. We saw both of those stretches with both. LeBron James was playing at a very high level without Anthony Davis, sure, but in terms of team success and elevating those lineups, Anthony Davis simply floor raised at a much higher level last year than LeBron James did.
All right, like it. Tony, you back?
mic test.
There you go. Better.
Yeah, I am. There's some truth here in terms of like Anthony Davis as the number one option in terms of winning. Like I get that, but as what he is now in his role in his capacity as a defender, it seems like the ding to put him behind Sabonis is entirely on his health, which would beg to differ. Then 24 for Kawhi, then is correct because of the ding to his health. Like, if you're not going to value the performance that they do and the floor elevation, then it's kind of like this list now makes sense because you're dinging the performance in terms of, they can't substantiate that in a season, but they can elevate in the playoffs. And right now it's like it's two polar opposites. Like Sabonis did not elevate in the playoffs. He was a shadow of himself from what we saw in the season. And Anthony Davis was basically top tier from what we can see in the playoffs. So he rose to the occasion. So I think there's more stock to that. So it's kind of hard for me to put Anthony Davis behind Sabonis just because of that fact, though. So unless you want to ding the health issues.
All right, Dime, you want to hop in here with anything? Because up next, we're going to go straight to it with LeBron versus Steph in terms of this ranking here. It's 5 and 9. But I mean, I know I have a very rigid view when it comes to production and value, right? And I get it. What are your thoughts when you hear me try to propose an argument about Sabonis over AD in these rankings?
It just sounds like you're going more with the regular season and what he was able to do over the course of the regular season. But I agree with what Tony said. I mean, higher level basketball, the big boys show up, no load management, everyone's playing hard. Anthony Davis was just a better player. No disrespect to Sabonis. I had a lot more to say about Westbrook, but we'll leave that alone. All I have to say is that those memes, those blooper-worthy shots, not one of them happened with us for a reason, because the environment was different. And I think that, as Tony said, although I do agree with what Bruce said, we can't. That was like a very well-reported thing that LeBron and AD recruited Russ, and the roster wasn't really set up for that team around those three guys. So it was just a really weird thing from the start. They went all out because Brooklyn had 3 stars at the time, and I think they felt like they needed a little boost, and it just failed miserably. And then when AD got hurt that season, it felt like the whole vibe of the team was off. LeBron was just, his body language was terrible. He was still putting up a lot of points, but there were some games that he wouldn't even try. And the whole team wouldn't try. And then Russ was at an all-time low. So I think Russ is around, to answer your question, Chris, about 70 or so. Anywhere between 60 to 70, honestly. I could hear top 50. I was surprised Bruce said top 50. I honestly wasn't going to advocate for him that hard, but he's top 75. But that's all I have to say on that. As far as AD and Sabonis, I think AD is a better player.
All right, cool. We have a trio of Warriors not named Steph Curry, lumped over around the same area. That's Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green, 41 through 55. Then you have 2 more. You have CP3 at 76 and Kevon Looney at 88. Anybody have any issues with that? I stated Klay Thompson for me would be lower. I would also have Wiggins higher than Klay at this point. That's just me. Your thoughts here going in, and then we're going to close out the ESPN Top 100 with the LeBron versus
I just
Steph.
have a quick question. For my Warrior fellas here. So there's 6 top 100 players on the Warriors. So I'm just saying we're on the same page. There's no excuses. Right? There's you guys have 6 players. Like I know you guys preach strength in numbers. You guys got 6 top 100 players. So there's no excuses for you guys this year, right?
I mean, I didn't have no excuses from the beginning. The funny thing is, we'll say this, right? We'll say no excuses from us, but y'all got 2 top players in the top 10. You know what I mean? I will say, I think Wiggins should be higher than Klay. I'm not too into nostalgia like everybody else is. At the end of the day, right, if one player is relieving you of your defensive duties and he's stepping up to the task, he's a low-maintenance guy, he's taking a team-friendly pay cut, and is outworking you on that end, and you're asked to shoot and can't even do that in the playoffs. But when it comes to the Warriors winning the championship, the second most consistent player on that team was Andrew Wiggins, and he only played 30-something games this year, and you could tell, and it reflected in the stats. But you know what I mean? So I would say Wiggins, to me, is higher than Klay at this point. Klay can earn that back, but from what I've seen in recent, to me, Wiggins got him. But I'm not even worrying about Zen. I'm not even worrying about you, man, because when the Warriors win, they say they're loaded, and when the season starts, it's like dudes are way out of the 50, the top 75. So it is what it is. I'm used to this. Rinse and repeat.
Coming from a man that's 2-0 against us in the preseason.
I just want to say to Lakers fans, if Austin Reeves is better than Klay Thompson, he's better than all these other players, if Anthony Davis is an MVP player when healthy, if LeBron James is an MVP player when healthy, if you got all of this phenomenal shooting, you had these great offseason pickups, I don't think you should lose 4 games straight to Denver again, right? I wouldn't think so.
I actually have a question. Why is it that Lakers fans think that Austin Reeves is better than Jonathan Kuminga?
What?
Well, I think I seen you mention something like that in the group chat. I'm okay with if they believe that because Reeves has been more consistent. He has stayed on the floor, and he showed up in the playoffs. He was given an opportunity, and he showed up. Kuminga hasn't gotten an opportunity, right? And I think you will see him being unleashed, hence what's going on in the preseason. But for right now, I'm okay with anybody saying that. It's fair.
All right. We'll get into a little bit more of Austin Reeves in a second. We're going to close out here. ESPN Top 100. We have Steph and LeBron. Steph at 5, LeBron at 9. It's rare, and it's hard because we're now in the top 10. I only have 2 players ahead of Steph in my top 10.
Same.
It's Jokic and Giannis for me.
Yep. Same here.
I think there is no close player next to Steph Curry. I really think it's Jokic, Giannis, Steph, everybody else.
Yeah, me too. I feel that same way.
Awesome. Gifted, Bruce. Are you bored here? Are we entering the time where we're going to look at Steph and he's going to start being discounted for no empirical reason other than the fact that people are now anti-Warrior?
No, they do this with Steph every year. Luke has been over Steph for like 4 straight seasons now, no matter what actually happens in the season. So that doesn't really surprise me. And at some point, Luka will be better because, obviously he's getting older and Luka Doncic is an MVP caliber player. But what's funny to me is like how people are so easy to still say Giannis is better than Steph. And I understand what Giannis provides as a two-way player, but in terms of creating offense in the half court consistently, Steph doesn't need to run away from the ball in the fourth quarter when the games are close. I think that the offensive boost that he brings to his unit, despite the fact that he lacks a good secondary shot creator, speaks volumes. And adding Dame to Milwaukee is supposed to help bring those skills to the team because Giannis is lacking in that department. I kind of would have Steph over Giannis, to be honest with you. I think Steph and Jokic are virtually the same player in terms of how they impact their team offensively with their gravity and how they both re-evolutionize their position based on their play. Steph is a combo point guard who play makes at a super high level, but because he can shoot so dangerously and he can play off the ball and impact his team in that way, Jokic has the best, playmaking chops and vision in the NBA as well. I think those skills are more portable to the playoffs than Giannis.
So very, very, very briefly, just to even add on to what Gifted is saying. So for me, like I say, to me, I could say Jokic is the best player in the world. Just won a championship. I remember when Chris Bosh was asked on First Take, right after losing to the Dallas Mavericks, who the best player in the world was. He said Dirk Nowitzki. Now, maybe nobody thought that, but him being a teammate of LeBron James, who was then going to go on to win his MVPs, for him to say that, I'm going to respect and I'm going to, I'm going to respect the athlete who's in that arena, right? And so having said that, yes, I believe that the top 3 players in the world is Steph, Giannis, and Jokic, right? These guys have all won in the past recent 3 years. We've seen how dominant they are when they're playing and how bad the teams are when they're not playing. And was Steph listed as ESPN's number 1 in the world after beating the historic defense or the most historic defensive team since the 04 Pistons and the Boston Celtics and going completely 8th, right? Almost 50, 40, 90 the entire series, you know what I mean? And so it's like we penalize some people who pick and take, and I'll say this. The game of basketball, most people are used to dominance being tangible, players who play above the rim, Shaquille O'Neal breaking the glass, land on his back, glass shattering. And then now when you see Steph Curry dominating even more than Shaquille O'Neal, it's intangible because he's so small, he's scrawny, he got the defense being spread out. People don't know what to do. They're double teaming and selling out to him, but it looks different. You know what I mean? So it's just that it looks different. And it's also because, ESPN's Golden Boy has lost in the finals to him 3 times as well. So a lot of the voters can't be excited about that.
Speaking of a NBA golden boy, LeBron James, 40 years old, 20 years in the league, number 9. Are we using time against him? Are we being ageist here? We'll go to Chewie. If you have anything you want to add in on the Steph thing, go ahead. Thoughts on LeBron at 9? Can you make an argument to get him higher? And I already know Born Rebel and Tony do. And we're going to go to them after you.
Yeah, I could definitely make an argument for him being higher. I would put him over Luka. I would move him up. If I'm trying to win a championship, what has Luka shown? I mean, Luka's a great player to watch. Of course, he's fantastic. But what has he shown that he can get you deep into the playoffs? LeBron's won championships on 3 different teams. Luka hasn't done that yet. Why is he higher than LeBron?
I think he's more available these days. Play 10 plus games more.
Well,
Yo, that's hilarious to me. That's very funny.
Well, we've got the 2 Lakers fans, and actually the actual host of the show. They've been gracious with their time, trying to allow the 4 creators to get their thoughts out here. But now we're getting ready to lean in heavy on this here. We're going to give them ample time. Then we're actually going to move into some competition here. The West is loaded. It's going to be up and down for every single team. We're going to get into who the best team in California is, who's going to win the division, and then we're going to ask how each team is going to have to beat the, quote, vaunted Phoenix Suns. Yes, the team that everybody has said once they picked up Bradley Beal for whatever reason was the team to beat in the West, even though you have a dude named Steph Curry, even though you got a guy named Anthony Davis. They think, for whatever reason, adding Bradley Beal was the thing. We'll get there. Go ahead, Tony and Born Rebel. What do you got at Braun and Steph in the top 10? What do you think is most egregious in terms of Lakers rankings? And we'll go from there, and then we'll get into Cali.
To be honest, like just a question for the panel. You can just submit a down or first say yes. Have you seen Giannis in Game 7?
I'm sorry, your microphone's kind of cooked.
Yeah, Mike's cooked, bro.
All right, while Tony's saying that, I'll say this, look, all jokes aside, with LeBron, I'm fine with him being 9. And guess what? I would have been fine with if someone would have said 11. And look, the game is in such a dope and beautiful place that we got a lot of players. Him being 9, the way I'm looking at it is I'm not looking at it as like, oh, he's so low. I'm like, yo, he's in year 21 and he is a top 10 player. Like, that is just like, what is it? He's a 6th player to get to a 21st season. Vince Carter, who's the only player to get to 22. Like all the other players that got to 21 seasons, they weren't relevant in the sense that, you know, hey, can we get 15 to 20 from you tonight? Like, they weren't at that stage. Dirk was like, you know, wasn't the same player. I think Dirk got to 20, but like Robert Parrish, Vince Carter, Kevin Willis, like for LeBron to, I just look at it as an accomplishment. I'm fine. Like, you know, I think, you know.
Yeah, Dirk made it to 21. He didn't make it out the arena without help.
Yeah, he didn't he didn't walk out of the arena on his own. So I'm fine with it. You know, I think that's an accomplishment. AD being 10, I'm also fine with it. Look, I think he's the best defensive player in the league. I have AD as my MVP this season. I think he's gonna get, this is his MVP year. But I'm also a huge AD critic. He has to show up. He has to be assertive. He has to be consistent. He has to be accountable. So yeah, and then look, I've also said this many times on our podcast that AD, he has 3 contemporaries that he's always going to get judged against. That's Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid. Those are his contemporaries. I don't think it's a coincidence. Even if we disagree with the rankings. I don't think it's a coincidence that they're 1, 2, and 3. So it's like AD, yo, you have to step up. Those are the guys you're getting judged against. They're winning MVPs. 2 of them have won a title, which AD has won as well. 2 of them have won a Finals MVP. So he's gonna have to step up and be consistent for him to get on to be recognized with those guys. So yeah, but to answer the question, I'm fine with LeBron being number 9.
You know, AD has to play 66 games to win MVP, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So does everyone. So does everyone. And I really think. Look. When
Does he
they
make
had
it? That's the question.
Over under.
Yeah. I think once I think he's going to be on a counter, and as soon as he gets to 66, he's like, all right.
All right, we'll shoot a poll up there. That's a good poll question, Chewie.
That is
it's
not a
Anthony
good poll.
Davis.
Zen, aren't you curious? That LeBron, I just don't. Whatever tea he's drinking, I would want to drink some of that tea because I just don't understand it, right? And then also, Anthony Davis has been his teammate for several years. So, like, why is he extending this tea to his teammate? To have a bit more longevity because it's just weird. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Hey, LeBron spends over $1 million on his body, man. If you ain't chipping in, you ain't getting in.
Oh, so AD spending $1 million on his braids.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We got about 20 minutes. We've got predictions for the season coming up. All right. We've got all 4 teams in California listed here. We've got Warriors, Lakers, Kings, and Clippers. Now's the time that we're going to figure out where everybody's going to fall in the pecking order. We're going to go bottom up. All right. I'm going to say who's the worst team in California, and everybody's going to say Clippers. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Who's the worst team in California?
Kings.
Warriors.
Warriors.
Lakers, man.
Clippers.
The Lakers.
It's going to be Warriors.
Wow.
They're going to be the bottom of the barrel.
Lakers.
I'm reverse jinxing myself and saying Kings.
Yeah, I knew that's where you were going, but when you had both of them say the Warriors in terms of Dime and Bourne, I didn't see that. I really did think everybody was going to say Clippers because I thought everybody's going to be prejudiced against, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard because that's what it tends to be in the media when we follow it. So, all right, we'll go first to Dime. You said Warriors, bro. What's up?
I already said my. Okay, let's put it this way. I think the Kings have the worst chance of the 4 to win the championship, but I also think I think they're gonna have the best record in the regular season of all the West teams. Not of all the West, of all the Cali teams.
Yeah, that's still a bold statement.
It's still a bold statement.
I don't think that's bold.
Not just good. Just it seems like because LeBron and Anthony Davis were healthy for a whole playoff run, everyone thinks that they just are much, much healthier than Kawhi and Paul George. But if you look at the regular season, they barely play more games, if anything. So I still think they're going to miss 20-something games too, just like I think the Clippers are going to miss. That's why I'm going with Kings. But, yeah, my pick is the Warriors. I think if I were not a fan of the Clippers, though, my safest pick of who's the worst team in California would be the Clippers because of their lack of health with Paul and Kawhi. But I genuinely think let all 4 of our teams be healthy. I think my team's the best. Honestly, I think my team's the best. I think we have the best. Yeah, I literally think my team's the best. Because I think Kawhi might be better than everyone. Steph Curry is right there with him, though. I'd give Steph Curry a slight edge. But Paul George is better than any other player that the Warriors have, to me.
All right, we'll let Gifted and Bruce go ahead and respond.
Go ahead, Gifted.
I think that for me, because I'm not a Clippers fan, I lean Clippers, and it really doesn't have much to do with their roster construction. It's more so like how serious are they going to be in terms of taking the regular season serious on top of the low management of their injuries. I think in terms of talent, they have a good roster. But my question is also, is Ty Lue going to go back to being a good coach, or is he going to be the bad coach he was last year? Because he coached them out of a lot of wins last year. I think for Golden State, their floor as a team is going to be higher than a lot of people realize, because now that they're starting out their season with GP2, their bench defense should be a lot better than last year. And their biggest problem last year in terms of their regular season was their bench, because their starters, even though people hate saying this, their starters were the best starters in the league by net rating. So if that bench was better, who knows exactly how good they could have been, especially considering the fact that Andrew Wiggins, their best wing defender, played 37 games. If we're saying these teams are healthy and Steph is actually playing like 65-plus games, this team should be one of the best teams in the Western Conference.
I like that. I like that. One of the reasons why I said the Clippers is because, and I understand, Dime, you'll say they'll put Kawhi up here. But recently they're reporting that Terrence Mann, the reason why they're holding him out is he's in line to get starting minutes at power forward. That means he would start ahead of Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, Kenyon Martin, and Robert Covington. Like that's why, to me, that's a little bit too scary.
Hey, Sacramento starts Keegan Murray at the 4. I think Kawhi Leonard.
I'd rather have Terrence Mann than Marcus Morris, though, for sure.
Yeah, I you know what? I think I'm with you on that one as well. All right, so we got Born Ready also said Clippers, right?
If you said I said it, I said I said it.
Oh, well, then we'll move on. All right, so where are the Kings going to place? We had one person saying the worst, and he's reverse jinxing. Totally get it. Dime has a very, different view. He thinks that they're going to be rocking throughout the regular season. Got a great offense, great coach, continuity. Gifted, Bruce, where are you on the Kings? Are they going to finish with the best record? Are they going to be behind the Warriors? Because in my order, I've got Warriors, Kings, Lakers, Clippers.
I think the Kings are going to be the best team in the Western Conference. I think by record, they have a great argument to be one. And the reason why I say it is, ironically, as a Warriors fan, I see a lot of similarities to the Warriors' path in terms of after their first taste of playoff success, they bring back the same roster with the same continuity. Guys take leaps, and they're also a much younger and athletic team than the teams in front of them. And their guys play a lot of games during the regular season. I think Keegan Murray was one of the best three-point shooting seasons of all time for a rookie player coming in. And his reps in terms of his ball handling and also his defense for the Kings could yield great results. I think that the Sabonis and Fox DHOs are very quick this year, even more than last year. And I just think that offense is going to be very sustainable compared to last year. Their biggest question is bringing that in defensive intensity at home. Because on the road, they were actually a very good defense last year, but at home, they just could not put it together. I think that these older teams who aren't going to be as up and down can't really match their tempo for a full 82-game season. And I think that's why they'll probably be the best team in LA and arguably the best team in the Western Conference to me.
All right, so you're going both for Cali and the conference. Bruce, I have for California, I have Golden State beating the Warriors. I have Golden State Warriors beating the Sacramento Kings, and it's closer than what a lot of people will realize in my mind. Gifted is making a very good argument, though, backing up the argument that DimeDropper has here with the Kings. Where do you stand?
I think so. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm no believer in the Lakers, and I'm no believer in Anthony Davis. I don't care what he did in the last. He's just never healthy. You know what I mean? And I think the Clippers have been through whatever they've been through. I think this is the year that they'll either be healthy or that's just over for the Clippers. And the Terrence Mann tryout at power forward doesn't shock me because the NBA is a lot smaller. We've seen PJ Tucker play power forward for the Bucks, play power forward for the Heat. The Heat had Caleb Martin playing power forward. You know what I mean? It's a lot of teams are usually smaller or they go small. So that is just positioning. You're just moving around. But I'm a believer in the Kings. You know what I mean? They just added Duarte. You know, like I said, De'Aaron Fox, he figured out something. Malik Monk has been nasty off the bench. You still got Murray, as he just spotted out. He's going to be better. Harrison Barnes, we went through our thick and thin with him and everything like that. But at the end of the day, I think the Kings, they're your new stepbrothers. And, the Warriors are the Warriors, man. We still got champs at the end of the day. And no champion likes to be embarrassed, So I think this year is going to be our year. It's a lot of dudes talking about contracts. Clay, Draymond just got paid, and Jordan Poole is in Washington, right? And so if if you gonna allow him to go out there and go crazy, and you don't put your money where your mouth is, where your play is, hey, you know what I mean. But like I said, California, we know the Laker town. It used to be a thing, but those days are over, man. The new Lakers is Golden State.
All right, I got to get a correction in here. Thanks to Tony Schwartz, NBA, with the correction. That is Eastern Conference MVP Caleb Martin. He wants to make sure that we put the proper respect on him.
Oh, most definitely. Respect.
All right, we're going to go up to Chewie. Chewie, you reverse jinx the Kings. You have people down here bigging up the Kings. Like, they're making it very hard for you to say we are going to be the worst team in California. So we're going to give you a good minute here. Stand up on your soapbox. Say it from your chest. The Kings will be the blank team in California.
Oh, man. The Kings will be... I'll put the Kings second in California.
All right, there we go. Who's on top?
I'm putting the Warriors on top until they can prove us wrong. I know Kings won California last year, right? In the regular season, not in the playoffs, but in the regular season. This year, though, rosters are so much different all over the place. We got to believe in Monty, our GM. We got to believe in Mike Brown. But until I see the new pieces meld together, I don't know. I mean, one of the best games that I saw this year was that double overtime crazy game with the Clippers this year. And I got to give props to that team, the way Kawhi played with that team. I wouldn't mind seeing the Clippers and the Kings go far and see the Lakers and the Warriors down low. Because of the injuries, because of the way that the Clippers haven't been able to show that they can go far, I don't know if the Clippers can get up there, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were the top either. I think that any one of our four teams, though, could be over the Suns if we want to go that far.
Well, that's going to end up being next. I'm going to get Born Rebel in here because we got about 10 minutes by the clock. Your thoughts on the team that wins California, and then we're going to go in to your predictions for matchups, and we'll go ahead and get ready to close it after that.
Look, I'm not sure if I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to finish the regular season with the best record in California, but we will be the last team of California still in the playoffs. So, look, we handle this is the thing that I love about outside of Christian Wood, we handled all of our free agency signings within the first 72 hours of free agency. We took care of business. Our guys have been gelling.
To be fair,
yes,
it's not like you had a complex route. You just needed to re-sign 3 dudes.
Yeah, but we also added Torian Prince. We also added Gabe Vincent. We got Jackson Hayes. We re-signed all of our guys at a lower number than what they could have gotten. Like, we did our thing. Like, I'm sorry. Look at the Clippers. The Clippers, we are 1 week away from regular season, and the Clippers are, there's reports about them making a great offer to the 76ers. So their roster is not completely settled. The Warriors, the thing with the Warriors is that, okay, you have Steph, Draymond, and Clay, that no matter what, as long as you have the 3 of them, you always are going to have a chance. But did they address any of their needs? Like to say, hey, you know what, we needed size. They didn't address that. The whole strength in numbers, they don't have that. I don't think they got better. CP3, okay. Like, yeah, he replaces Jordan Poole. But it's like, are we really saying CP3? It's one thing to have a great player, but it's another thing to say, hey, CP3 fills this need, because all of a sudden they're saying, oh yeah, he's in the starting lineup. That starting backcourt is cooked on defense. Like that is going to be the worst defensive backcourt in the league, bar none. And I'll even say one thing: I don't think CP3 finished the season as a Warrior. I think he's going to Minnesota, and you guys are going to bring in Big Spoon, well, Little Spoon, Karl Anthony Towns. Okay, I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think
Talk
CP3.
about
Yeah,
Is Karl Anthony Towns supposed to be a diss for the Warriors though?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm
I
kinda
don't look.
confused
I
as
think you
to
guys
you
bring him
thinking
mid-season.
adding Karl Anthony Towns to the Warriors.
I wouldn't want Karl Anthony Towns on the Warriors if I was.
I think
Yeah,
that's
okay.
the move that they're going. I don't see CP3. There is no way that CP3 finished. I just don't see it because it's like that's a horrible defensive backcourt. So, but look, I see us the best in the state. I think Anthony Davis gets the MVP. I think this is his year to step up.
See, Zen is
Yeah.
trolling because look, not to cut you because
Go ahead.
your soliloquy is perfect, but at the same time, you know that no LeBron James teammates receive those awards. Let's talk about the bubble for just for 1 minute. Let's talk about the bubble for 1
Oh,
minute.
not the
Okay.
bubble, man. We got to wrap.
Anthony Davis had a historic run. He
Right.
should have been the Finals MVP,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't get it. So
We're going back 3 years.
I'm saying.
Wait a minute.
The notion
Yeah,
of you
we
thinking that
we
Anthony
gonna
Davis,
move past the bubble, but you're right. You are making a point that is correct. LeBron teammates don't win awards because
No,
LeBron
sir.
is there.
yes,
Yeah.
We
And I think
that's all I'm
LeBron.
saying.
I think this is the year LeBron. I think this is the year LeBron really start aging gracefully. Look, Anthony Davis. Okay, and I'm not the biggest Anthony Davis fan, but
Are
Anthony
you sure
Davis.
about that?
Tony will tell you, but I'm just looking at it. It's like, okay, well, the person in Philly is not going to get it. They the voters already proved that they were tired of giving it to Jokic, so they got MVP fatigue. Giannis is going to lose votes because of Dame, and yeah, you could say, well, AD is going to lose votes because of Bron. I know it's a small sample size, but AD had the best 3-week stretch of any player last season. He's going to build on it.
Let's save this segment by throwing in a name that has actually not been tossed in, that should have been tossed in any given time in the last 5 years. We're going to go and finish up who wins the MVP. I have an underdog, Steph Curry. Steph Curry goes for 30-plus points per game, 6.5 assists, 4.5 to 5 3-points per game. The Warriors close out in the top 3 record in the Western Conference, best team in California. Steph wins MVP. What say you, Gifted Blade?
I don't think that's a bad call. I think the record of the team would have to be above what I expected to be for him to be in those conversations. I don't doubt that he's going to be that caliber player because last year he was the best player in the league when healthy, and then once he got hurt, he was out of that MVP race. So it really comes down to his health more than anything else. But considering who they have on the roster this year, his scoring could be even more potent, and I think he could be in that conversation. But it really comes down to his health and their overall seeding, I would say.
If it's not Steph, who's your MVP?
If it's not Steph, to be honest, I think Jokic might two-step it back because we know for a fact he's going to have the games played, and that's going to be a top 2 seed in this Western Conference. Also, the voters, for whatever reason, thought Joel Embiid was the MVP, and then they saw what Jokic did in the playoffs, so they're going to probably put more respect on his regular season this year than before. So I think Jokic will be in prime position for that again.
All right, Bruce, you heard me. I gave the latitudes and longitudes of how I think Steph Curry wins the MVP. What say you?
Well, I mean, that's great. I appreciate that, but I'll be honest, I don't necessarily see that. And I'm more so leaning on the Luka Doncic or even a Jason Tatum because I know that the NBA like these two players, especially Luka, and you know what I mean. Dallas, of course, would have to do a bit better, and I would have said Dame, but I mean, I know Giannis. They're going to cancel each other out, so it's like just looking from the whole spectrum, the Jokic thing, I think they wanted to give it to him last year, but not really the voters' fatigue, but just the dialogue around NBA basketball talks and MVP talks. I think that was just kind of toxic. But I think it'll be Luka. If Steph wins it, I mean, we're trending in a good direction, right? So that'll be a good thing too.
All right. Dime, you've made a case about talking Kawhi Leonard needing to play more, take it seriously. You've also said, like, hey, they say they're in, and you made the claim that if everybody's healthy, you love the Clippers. You think the Clippers are the best team. Give me your MVP breakdown of Kawhi. What does he need to do to win the trophy?
Play 66 games, then he'll be in the race, but he's not gonna. So I'm just – that's the anti-jinx. That's my anti-jinx. I don't think he's gonna. But if he does, we'll be really good. I don't think Steph's gonna play 66 games. That's why I was surprised that you went that route. You're pretty high on the Warriors, Chris. I'm pretty surprised. You have a lot of
I'm not high on the Warriors as a team winning the championship. I'm very high on Steph Curry having a historical season.
Yeah, but top 3 regular season, best team in California in the regular season is still pretty. I'm pretty surprised. But my pick is what Gifted said. I'm going with Jokic. I think he's the safest pick. I think there'll be some level of we messed up last year by the voters. And if he plays that 65-plus games, you know Denver's going to be top 3 unless something happens to Murray. And top 3, his stats are going to be outrageous, and you know the production is there when you watch him play. I'm going with the Joker getting his 3rd MVP.
All right, Chewie, does De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis have any chance in this conundrum that will be the MVP discussion next year?
They'll get votes, but they won't get anywhere near the top. I'm on the Jokic train. My dark horse, though, it could be Shea. I like SGA.
Oh, I don't want to get into the SGA convo. I'm going to get a whole bunch of people mad because then I'll say he's DeMar DeRozan 2.0. But, I digress.
Wow.
We got to wrap quickly.
We've got 2 more things real quick before we close out. We're going to go ahead and give it back now to Born Rebel. He's going to go ahead and close us out in terms of the Purple and GoldMinds Fan Cave. Personally, I want to say thank you to him, to Tony, and all of the content creators that took part in this. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I look forward to a great season. Back to you, Born.
Of all, from Purple and GoldMinds, our gratitude goes to Chewie, representing Top Shot Kingdom. Gratitude goes toward Leroy with the trophy mentality. Yo, we got the brother Gifted Hoops. And we also, last but never least, is our homie DimeDropper, Locked On Clippers. Hey, you know what? A lot of folks have the mentality that we can't work together. We can't collab. And you gentlemen were extremely gracious with your time. And we root against each other, but we root for each other. In the sense that our teams play against each other. But us as creators, we root for all of you. Thank you so much. This has definitely been the best episode of Meeting of the GoldMinds. We're going to release this tomorrow. I would like to give a quick opportunity for each of you guys to be able to let folks know where they can follow you. Starting with you, Chewie. Let folks know where they can find Top Shot Kingdom.
So personally, I'm ChewieWoolf, ChewieWolf with 2 O's. But I'm at Top Shot Kingdom on IG and Twitter. We run a community of Kings fans and Top Shot collectors, and it's the same name everywhere. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. DimeDropper, where can they find you, man?
You guys can find me for all things NBA and LA sports, especially LA basketball. If you're a Laker and Clipper fan, for sure tap in. If you love basketball, tap in on my YouTube channel, DimeDropper. And then on Locked On Clippers and the Locked On Podcast Network 5 days a week for all things LA Clippers. And Twitter and Instagram, DimeDropper Pod. Sorry. Social media at DimeDropper.
No worries. All right, say that again because I was cutting you off. Say that again.
I was saying Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropper Pod as well. So if you want to find me there.
Absolutely. Gifted, where you at?
Playback at Gifted Hoops, YouTube, at Gifted Hoops, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, at Gifted Hoops. Everywhere NBA related, at Gifted Hoops. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Brethren, Bruce Leroy.
Yeah, don't know.
Let them know, brethren.
Yeah, enough respect. So, Trophy Mentality is premiering in a few days. You can follow that on YouTube. Subscribe. I'm on Twitter as well, Trophy Mentality. So, lock in and let's talk sports, man, all over the world. Enough respect to everybody in here, too, man.
Absolutely. And, this doesn't happen if without Chris Hoop Spaces. To me, it is the platform that a lot of us need to kind of look at the Golden Star. And I'm not saying that to blow smoke. I have nothing but admiration for this brother. I've told him that many times. Chris, thank you for holding us down, man. I know it wasn't easy, but we appreciate you, and you made it happen, man.
No, man. Literally, you guys did it, not me. I just asked questions and moved the button. I couldn't do this without you. This is your show. I'm thrilled to be here, and really thrilled to hear everybody's varied opinions, to be honest. Like, that's why we do this. We're passionate. We love it. And I want to say thank you to all of you for sharing.
Absolutely. This was definitely a true meeting of the gold mines. I am Born Rebel, a.k.a. Zen. I had one of my PGM brothers, Tony Vega. You can find him at Bald Mojito, even though he did say he wanted to get his hair like Cam Reddish. But that's to be seen. But look, you guys, you can find us at Purple GoldMinds. GoldMinds is MIDS. We are at Purple GoldMinds on YouTube, Twitter, Threads, and IG. Last but not least, you can join us for our watch parties at playback.tv/PGM Fan Cave. Once again, I am Born Rebel, representing the Purple and Gold, representing Purple and Gold Minds. I thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for listening. And we will be back with another episode next week of Meeting of the GoldMinds. Peace.
Soon as we step out the cage, we raising all of the stakes. Make no mistake, either you stay in your place or we putting you on a plate. Look at our face, we put the fear in the dirt.